This is an excerpt from a session with Lewis and Cynthia Smith. The Smith is a pseudonym. And the Smiths are married. They've been married for 2 years. And the precipitating event that brought them into counseling was Lewis had been struggling for quite a while with lust and had been drawn to the internet and pornography sites. It turned out that Cynthia came home, caught him on the internet looking at a pornography site, really got wounded, got angry. They had a big blow up. And there has been a lot of mistrust since that time. Now, I have met at this point with Lewis and Cynthia for an assessment module where we met 2 weeks. They completed some instruments, and then I gave them feedback, and they decided to go on with counseling. We decided to do this 8 weeks and then reevaluate. This is the 3rd counseling session. And my observation, having assessed them and having gone through a couple of counseling sessions with them, my observation of their dynamics is this. Cynthia was raised in a very strict, fundamentalist, justice-oriented home with a lot of structure. Her church had a lot of structure in it. So she was used to a very orderly, a very controlled environment. And she gets threatened and uncertain when there's disorder. Now, Lewis, on the other hand, has been diagnosed a couple of years ago as having adult attention deficit disorder. He understands that he flits around and has a hard time keeping his attention on projects unless he gets really involved in a project. As a result of this, his life is pretty disorderly. He was really attracted to Cynthia because she represented order in his life. She was attracted to him because he was like the freedom that she had not grown up with. Now that they've been married 2 years, though, these dynamics are causing some strain in their relationship, and this really empowers the way that they tend to relate to each other. So we're going to pick up at the 3rd session, and we're going to pick up after the pleasantries have been taken care of, and we're ready to jump in to the issue that brought them into counseling, which was the mistrust over the pornography and just the things that have happened since that time. So that is where we are in this beginning of this session. Okay, Lewis and Cynthia, we had said last week that this week we're going to tackle the issue that really brought you into counseling, the incident where you walked in, Cynthia, and found that Lewis was on the web looking at pornography sites. So is that still of concern to y'all?
Yes.
Yes, but I've made changes.
Mm-hmm. Like what kind of changes?
Well, just like I try not to get on when she's not around, like she leaves the house to go grocery shopping or something. I've also moved the computer in more like the family room rather than up in my office where there's more privacy. So, and I pray. I mean, I'm praying.
I just have a hard time believing that it's completely over with.
And why is it that you feel that that you doubt that?
Well, I know it's a strong temptation for men, and it's been a problem for a long time, and I'm not willing to believe that it is something that is completely resolved. I know he's made changes, but I still think that it's an issue.
Okay. Well, what I'd like for you to do is just to talk for a few minutes about the original incident and what happened and how you felt, how you reacted. So I know that you've done this in the assessment session with me, but since we're working on this, let's get the details in our mind, okay?
Well, I went out one afternoon to go grocery shopping, but I had forgotten my checkbook, and so I came back a lot earlier than I would have. And so I looked around downstairs, and I couldn't find it. I went upstairs, and I saw him on the computer, and I saw inappropriate material on the computer. I was in shock. I was very hurt, and I actually couldn't stand to stay there, so I left. I turned my cell phone off, and I just drove around. That's it.
So what did you say as you discovered this? Or did you just turn around and leave? What happened?
I didn't say much. I might have just said something to show my shock, but other than that, I didn't say anything to him.
And how did you respond to all this?
Well, I mean, I never want to look at the pornography. I'll be on there doing something else, or just, surfing the web, and before I know it, I just go onto a site or whatever, or I know I'm alone, or I'm stressed or something. But that day, I mean, it's not her, it's me. But there's been little signs I've tried to give with my struggles that have just felt like they've been shot down. And anyway, that day, all she did was turn around, leave the house, didn't say a word to me, turned off her cell phone. I mean, what kind of response is that?
What would you want me to do?
Well, I did feel bad.
I'm not the one who's
I still
here.
feel bad, and I would like to have a little bit of support. But it doesn't feel like she supports me at all, or, I don't know, or even gives the chance for me to recover in some way.
Don't put this on me.
Okay, so let me, I can see that this is still raw and a disagreement. Tell me, though, what happened then? You went away, you turned your cell phone off, you somehow got composed enough to go back at some point. How did that happen?
Well, this was in the early afternoon, and so I was probably gone for maybe 5 or 6 hours. I came back at night, and he was downstairs, sitting in the living room. I came in, I looked at him. He said, "Cynthia, let me explain. I want to talk about this." And I said, "No, Lewis, I can't talk to you right now. I'm going to bed." I said, I'll talk to you about it maybe tomorrow, but right now, I can't believe this. So I just went to bed. That was it. And he didn't come to bed that night. He probably slept downstairs.
Well, I mean, part of that is just me feeling ashamed. I mean, obviously she's completely distanced herself, at least, and that day, from me, and I don't feel like we're still close to that point of where I felt when, we first got married and stuff. But, I mean, I don't want this stuff. And so I could use a little support. And when she talks about the next day talking about it, and then that became 2 days, and then I still don't want to talk about it, and then it's like, okay, well, where's the forgiveness?
Mhm.
So,
So you feel like, well, have you talked about it in some way that moved toward any reconciliation since then?
We've talked about it a little,
What
but
happens?
we always end up very angry. We don't usually yell
Mhm.
when we try to discuss other issues in our marriage,
Mhm.
but when we start talking about this, it always turns into a yelling match, to the point where I'll just start crying. I'll get very upset
Mhm.
and just shut down, and it just doesn't ever progress. Probably done that 4 or 5 times.
Right. And so Lewis says, you know, where's the forgiveness? Is there forgiveness?
I don't know.
God.
I mean, I know that that's the right thing to do,
Mhm.
but how do I know he's not still doing it? How do I know he's not going to do it again? I just can't trust that.
So, and you don't feel supported when you hear this, but you very clearly admit that you did the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So when she hears you say, I don't feel supported, she said back just now, just a minute ago, I didn't do the wrong here. You did the wrong here. So is that the way that the argument usually proceeds?
Yes. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the pornography thing or something else. It's getting something done around the house. I didn't do it correctly, or I just didn't stay right on task, or you didn't finish this. And it's like I don't know, it's just like a constant nagging, it feels like sometimes. And I mean, she talks about grace and forgiveness, and, you know, we hear it all the time in church and that, and I just continue to wait. Well, okay, God, what about my wife? Besides the fact, I know I have problems with attention and completing tasks, and I'm pretty impulsive and stuff like that. So when we argue, it usually ends up me being in the wrong. She doesn't want to talk about it, so I say something rude. It's usually what ends up happening, and then she finally responds. But by that time, it's me again that is in the wrong. So
I just want to be able to have a conversation about it. I don't understand why any of this is my fault. I mean, it wasn't me who did anything wrong. I don't understand why every time we have a conversation about it, he finds a way to blame me for something. This is his doing.
Okay, so I can see the positions developing here. What I think I'd like for you to do is maybe turn these positions you feel into a 3D picture. I'd like for you to make a sculpture of what your position is in this conflict. And I don't know if that's too vague for you to understand, but I want you to arrange yourselves right here
okay.
into some posture that shows how you feel about this conflict over the pornography and all of the disagreement that's happened since then. Okay, can you do that?
I mean, I guess I'm just ashamed.
I can't even look at him.
Okay, so that's good. So, Lewis, you are ashamed. You can't look at yourself in the mirror. You can't look at her You just are, into yourself. And Cynthia, you are closed off. You feel he needs to approach you. You are looking the other way. You can't be the one that approaches because he was the one who was wrong.
Yes.
Does that capture it?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So let me just have you stay in that position, just get in that position and hold it for a minute. Okay?